When I was in my late 40s, I set out to transform my body, and even though I lost weight, I was still carrying a lot of body fat around my midsection, in other words, belly fat. And you can see now that I don't have that anymore. And since the age of 52, I've kept it off for good, and I'm 56 now. So I'm gonna share with you the shocking truth about how to reduce menopause weight gain and menopause belly fat. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in fantastic shape. And one of the main things that hinders us is coming up to perimenopause, menopause and postmenopause. We have this weight gain, don't we? And I experienced it just like any other woman, where you have this weight gain and it's really hard to get a handle on, isn't it? And it specifically tends to sit around your midsection. But you can get things like arm fat, back fat and pockets of fat. They just appear out of nowhere, don't they? And you've never had it before oftentimes. So I'm going to take you through the process of how to combat menopause weight gain and menopause belly fat. And it doesn't matter if you're kind of in your 40s and you haven't gone through menopause, because one of the things that actually happens is your estrogen starts depleting. And this can happen as early as in your late 30s. For some people it's in their 40s, some people late 40s. But at some point your estrogen is going to start to deplete, and that's a big problem, because you're going to have a range of symptoms, but one of the biggest symptoms that causes is weight gain. So there's a kind of biological reason that this is happening. It's not your fault. It's not because you suddenly started eating badly or you're not exercising enough. But the shocking truth is that you can no longer do what you did in your younger days and get the results. So that's the big problem. That's the problem that I had. So when you see my before and after pictures, during the middle of that phase when I was kind of getting things wrong, I was doing tons of exercise, but it was the wrong kind of exercise. And you know, in my younger days, if I put in a little bit more activity, watch what I ate, so maybe cut back on the takeouts, reduce the amount of alcohol I was drinking, the fat would magically strip away. It didn't take too much effort. And now it takes a monumentous effort, it feels like, doesn't it, to just shift a little bit of body fat. So in this video, I kind of break it down for you what the shocking truth is, which is actually what you did in your younger days, and the traditional forms of weight loss, they actually don't work anymore. And so you've got to be doing things differently. The other shocking thing is that it's actually the opposite of what you think you might need to do. So I'm going to take you through it now. So I talked about my own transformation journey and the fact that what I did in my younger days didn't work anymore. And I'm going to take you through it. So what's happened when you're older, when you reach over the age of 40 and then perimenopause, menopause and even postmenopause? What's happening is your body's metabolism is changing due to that depleting estrogen, depleting progesterone and depleting testosterone as well. Your body's changing, you're losing muscle mass, and that's a big clue, losing muscle mass. The kinds of things that I would have done, so I was doing tons of running, cardio, because that's what you think, don't you? And it worked when you were younger. You kind of think, well, let's just increase the amount of exercise, specifically the amount of cardio, and that's gonna help me burn fat. And that's what happened with me, is I actually started gaining weight by running. I was actually gaining weight because what happens is you get a bit more hungry. If you do extended periods, so over 30 minutes, over 45 minutes, some people are even doing 2 hours a day, that actually does not serve you anymore when you're older, and it didn't serve me. In this picture, it was taken in Egypt in the sweltering heat, and I was training for a half marathon, and I probably looked the worst that I'd ever done in my entire life, even though I was doing tons of cardio. So the other big mistake I made is with the food side of things. You know, I was just trying to drop my calories low, 1300 calories, just dropping them lower. But what's happened is your body's changed when you're older. So just going on low calories, that's not going to make things any better. And in fact, it actually makes things worse because you've lost your metabolism. So taking your calories really, really low, like mine were like 1300 or under, and you know, nowadays I weigh around about 120 pounds. That's too low for somebody like me, and my scale weight hasn't massively changed even though my body composition has changed. So it was probably similar. It could have been 5 or 10 pounds more, but not a massive amount. So really low calories for somebody my weight. And what did that do? That actually slowed my metabolism down. And what you want to do is actually build your metabolism up. So those things like extremely low calorie diets, extremely low carb diets, and tons of cardio, those are things you think you should do, but they actually do not serve you anymore when you are going through this time in life. And what you actually need to be doing is working on improving your body composition. That's what's going to get rid of menopause belly fat. That's what's going to increase your metabolism. So I'm going to take you through how you do that. So what you want to be thinking about is not losing weight, but improving your body composition. So that's putting on muscle and reducing your body fat. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, it's going to be shocking, and it's going to be the opposite of what you might think, particularly if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen me talk about this before. You've got to throw out of the window what you already know about fat loss, because it is different now and you need to be doing things differently. You need to be doing a different type of exercise to get rid of belly fat and reverse that weight gain that you've experienced. And you need to be focusing on a different type of nutrition, which doesn't mean starving yourself, because actually, I don't know about you, but starving yourself, that's actually really uncomfortable and not sustainable, is it, in the long term? So you kind of need to be satisfied, but also your body will respond so much better, I promise you, if you do these things that I'm going to talk about. And there's some simple steps you can take to deal with menopause weight gain, but it is going to be different. Exercise, we talked about what doesn't work. So what does work is strength training, and that's going to improve your body composition. And it doesn't matter if you're doing it at home, and you can do it at home. And in fact, if you're new to it, don't worry, you can start when you're older. You can start in your 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. There's very famous women that actually started strength training in their latter years. People like Joan McDonald and Ernestine Shepherd. They started a lot older and they still experience fantastic results by starting in their 60s and 70s, would you believe it? So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I'm in menopause, I cannot start exercise now. Well, it might be that you don't quite have the energy to start now, but there's nothing stopping you starting now. I have a beginner strength training video actually on this channel, so I am going to link that in the description. So don't worry if you're starting from scratch. So you want to be incorporating strength training, if you're new to it, 3 times a week, and if you aren't new to it, 4 times a week is absolutely optimal. So 3 times a week, 4 body workouts, or 4 times a week, 2 lower body sessions and 2 upper body sessions. And I have created a video all about how to work out, which I will link here, so you can watch that and actually find out exactly how to set up your training plan. So you've lost your metabolism through the aging process, haven't you? But you can build it back back up. That's the good news. You can build it back up through strength training and building muscle, because building muscle mass, and usually you're not going to get bulky, especially if you're natural like me. You're just going to put on what you've lost through the aging process, muscle that you've lost. We are losing muscle, if we don't do anything about it, at a rate of 1% per year over the age of 40. So it's really important to address that, and it has tons and tons of health benefits. It's not just about what you look like. There are loads of health benefits to strength training, so I would highly recommend that as your main form of exercise. Then what's really fantastic, and the North American Menopause Society actually carried out a study in 2019 and found this form of exercise to be far more effective than steady state cardio. So when we're thinking about cardio, instead of things like hours and hours of cardio, unless it's walking's okay, but intense cardio, what you want to be doing is high intensity interval training. So I did a really short session this morning of 20 minutes of high intensity interval training. What does that mean? So that's going flat out as hard as you can for say 30 seconds, 20 seconds, in between up to 2 minutes, so 30 seconds to 2 minutes of walking pace. And you can do this on any piece of equipment. You can do follow along high intensity interval training workouts, which I have on this channel, and you can do things like sprint training as well. So rather than doing long distance running, turn that running into sprint intervals, say 10 to 20 sprint intervals, and that is going to be absolutely fantastic for burning fat. So now I'm going to talk about nutrition, and I talked about, didn't I, in my younger days, I could take my calories lower, stop eating takeaways, cut out the wine, and that changes. One of the biggest game changers that I would really recommend for you, and you can do this, you can implement it, it's not difficult, is getting plenty of protein in. So that's eating 1 gram of protein for every pound in your body weight, or if you weigh over 170 pounds, shoot for your goal body weight. And it's actually pretty easy, because what it looks like is eating protein at every single meal and snack. And I have on this channel loads of what I eat in a day videos where you can see exactly how I do that, you know, how I get in something like 150 grams of protein per day. I've actually also got a video which I'm going to link up here, and that's how to calculate your own calories and macros. And macros are macronutrients, so that's your balance of your protein, carbohydrates and fats, but the most important for you to remember is protein, is your macronutrient content. I also have a free nutrition guide that you can get from my website. I'm going to link it underneath, and you can download that today. It's a whole complete guide on getting your nutrition right to deal with weight gain and actually get some results by losing fat. And nutrition together with the strength training, these are probably the most important things. And as I said, it's kind of the opposite of what you think, because it's not about taking your calories low, it's actually about fueling your body correctly to improve your body composition. In other words, that's gaining muscle and losing fat all at the same time. If you do that, you are going to see fantastic results with getting rid of your body fat overall, but also really getting that midsection down and keeping it off for good, which is what I did. Around 4 years ago, I addressed my midsection, and it still stays good today. And even though, you know, I'm not competition lean at the moment, I have, for somebody my age, a pretty good body composition, which means that I actually keep my belly fat in check. back. I don't have the best of starts. I actually have diastasis recti. I've had 3 children, so certainly my midsection is not perfect. I also have an umbilical hernia, so it's not perfect, but I make the best of what I've got. It's not completely flat, but it's a lot flatter than it would be had I not introduced those things that I'm recommending you do. It really is going to be a game changer if you can get that protein high and get your strength training in. You know, I don't recommend tons of sit-ups. And that's the other exercise that people get very hung up about, because you can look at a lot of the videos here on YouTube and they talk about, well, if you do all these ab exercises, you're going to get abs like mine. Actually, that old adage that abs are made in the kitchen is absolutely true, because getting abs is actually about reducing your body fat percentage. So no amount of sit-ups and loads of core work is actually going to address that, because what you can have is just a wall of muscle sitting behind fat. So yes, it's really important to strengthen your core and tighten it up. You can do a lot with that. I absolutely love doing something called stomach vacuums. Those are a really great core exercise for sort of tightening your waistline. But as I said, it has to be done in conjunction with really good nutrition. I love doing planks. I love doing some sit-ups and some leg raises, not tons of them, probably like 3 or 4 times a week, but you do have to combine that with great nutrition and doing strength training. So just doing those core exercises alone, it's really not going to address the belly fat, but it's really good anyway to strengthen and tighten your waist, and it's actually really good for your overall body. If you have a really strong core, it's going to help prevent back problems. So I do recommend it, but it's not going to work just on its own, as some of these influencers would have you believe. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about hormones, and I have documented this quite extensively that I am actually on hormone replacement therapy. And I know some people that watch my content assume that because I take hormone replacement therapy, that's why my body composition is as it is. And actually it's not. If anything, I've actually gained weight since taking hormone replacement therapy, so it hasn't really made a difference. I actually improved my body composition at around about the age of 52. I wasn't taking hormone replacement therapy. I'm 56 now. I started taking hormone replacement therapy around about a year and a half ago. I did find initially, when I was put on the HRT patches, that I actually gained a little bit of weight, around about 5 pounds. I think that was my body's reaction to the extra estrogen in my system, and a lot of it was kind of water retention and my body adjusting. I think once my body had settled down, it came back off. But certainly I haven't found that HRT helped me lose weight, and it's more about implementing the correct exercise and the correct nutrition. However, what I would say is if you're really lacking in energy and motivation, what HRT can do is address that, because you're probably going to find that you're going to have more energy for working out with reduced symptoms. So I actually started taking HRT to reduce my menopause symptoms, and it's really worked wonders for improving a little bit my energy levels. But you know, you do not have to take HRT to get in great shape, and I did all my bodybuilding shows without taking estrogen or progesterone, which is what I take now. There are also 3 other things that you need to consider when you're thinking about addressing menopause weight gain, menopause belly fat, and that is getting enough sleep and looking after your gut health and reducing your stress levels. Now, I've actually made detailed videos about all those things, so I'm going to link those in the description, and do check them out. And just as a reminder, if you want to join a program where you have all of this covered, the exercise, the nutrition, how to actually address menopause weight gain, I do run my own programs. I've put the link to my website where you can find all those programs. And if you're wondering which program to buy, you can always get in touch with me. There are contact details on my website. Do let me know in the comments section whether you are going to try these strategies, and I promise you they really do work. It's tried and tested by many of the women that follow my programs and many of them that just follow me on my social media channels like YouTube. So I guarantee it does work. It does take time. You do need to give yourself time to do this, but I promise you, you will get results.